Welcome back to Rooted and Refined, where I am in my South Carolina 8A garden, and we have finally had some rain and we are enjoying some cooler temperatures. I am going to take advantage of those cooler temperatures and get a project done that I have been telling you guys I've wanted to do. Today we're going to take some of this black-eyed Susan and transplant it into this space back here where it didn't come back this year. We'll take just a little bit of it. I never wanted it to grow in front of this bird bath, so we'll take just a little clump and we'll put it back here and start getting it established again where it didn't come back this year. First thing we need to do though is get rid of some of this clover as much as we can. Here's our before we get any of this project done. All right, I'm using my hori hori to help me get some of the roots of this clover out of here. I came through yesterday in between some of the rain and got some of the weeds out of here. The spurge this year has just been insane, but that's pretty easy to take care of without a hori hori. Clover, on the other hand, it's a little easier. Obviously, you don't need a hori hori, it just makes it easier to get some of these roots out of here. While I'm working on this clover, let's talk a little bit about this Rudbeckia or black-eyed Susan that I have planted back here. This was one of the very first things that I planted here. I planted just a couple of plants right here where I'm sitting, right behind this bird bath, and didn't realize that it spread as much as it does. And last year, this whole entire space was full of it, to the point where I wasn't sure that I liked it. It was just so inundated with the black-eyed Susan. But now that it hasn't come back in this space and it's just kind of concentrated, just a little bit of it over here, I kind of miss how it looked last year. So we're gonna go ahead and get some of it back over here to help fill in. But a little bit of trivia for you. Did you know that black-eyed Susan is the state flower of Maryland? I used to live in Maryland, so that's how I know that. State flower of South Carolina is yellow jessamine, otherwise known down here as Carolina jessamine. I'm going to let my North Carolina friends comment what the North Carolina state flower is. I'll give you a hint. It's a flower that you would find in a tree, a beautiful tree. Comment what your state flower is. I'd love to know. See if we can get all 50 states represented in the comments. This clover is coming up so nicely. That rain that we just had helped. We were so dry and it has been so hot. So I told you in a previous video, when it's so hot outside in the oppressive summer heat, especially here in the South, we don't want to transplant anything. But we are in the 80s for the next few days here, and I'm going to take advantage of it and get this project done while I can enjoy these cooler temperatures. Still pretty humid. Definitely still humid, but that can work to our advantage too. There's a few clumps of black-eyed Susans that are trying to come up. I don't know if they'll ever really make it. They're teeny tiny, but we're gonna leave them. Give them a chance. A little bit more clover over here. Oh, some spurge I missed. All right. Let's start getting some of this black-eyed Susan out and moving it. All right, so what I'm gonna do is just go in here. Of course, when I come over here, I see, look at this. Bermuda grass is horrible. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come over here and just kind of look and see what I want to take, because I want to leave most of this. I just want to take a little bit to get it started back over in that other space. All right, so now I've kind of created a space in here where it's easier for me to see where to put my shovel without damaging a lot of what I want to leave in here. So I'll take my shovel and put it right there. And work on getting out this front clump. So I'm going to go behind it, loosen it up as much as I can without doing too much because I don't want to disturb the roots from what's behind it. And I see I've got some drip right in front of this. I'm actually going to pick that drip up so I can get more of this root. There we go. And now I can get this clump out. And because it just rained, it's so much easier. So just like that, I'm just going in there, digging this out, bringing it back over here. Got 2 clumps right there that I can use. But I want to take some more from the side over here, right here. So again, I'm going to put my shovel right there. Get around this back. Okay. Now I've got another clump to take. All right, I think I'm going to take one more. Take this small section right here. Okay, so now that I have these clumps of flowers over here, I'll figure out where I want to put them. This one will be further divided into 2 separate ones. Okay, I have these clumps set where I want to put them, so all I have to do now is dig the holes and get them in the ground. While I'm getting these in the ground, let's talk about our lesson for today. I could say that these plants needed to be moved to a space where they could thrive, but they were already in a space that they were thriving. So if we reframe that, let's think about how many times were you maybe in a good place, but you felt like you needed to be somewhere else. Maybe you felt needed somewhere else. These flowers were doing great where they were. They didn't need to be moved, but think of how much better this whole entire space is going to look because I did move them. So next time you're in a situation where maybe you don't really know why you're in a place where you are, you don't really know how you got there, look around you. Have you made improvements just by being there? Are you making that place a better place than where you were before? Sometimes we don't know why things happen the way that they do. But if we trust the process, we might just find that we made a bigger difference than we ever thought we could. And sometimes the only thing needed to make that difference is just you being you in a place that you didn't know you belonged. Well, that one further divided for me on its own, so we'll put it here for now. Dividing plants is also a good economical way to make an impact in your garden. I certainly could have gone out and bought new plants. Black-eyed Susans are very widely available. I could go to any garden center, pick them up for fairly cheap, or I can use what's here. It's a little bit more work, but I needed to move those plants anyway. I didn't like that they were growing in front of the bird bath. So why not just move them to a space where I need them more? And that's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plants that I didn't need to buy. And because this was fill dirt that hasn't been here terribly long, about 6 years or so. Will is 6 years old. This dirt isn't this, even though it's red clay, it's not as compact. And I have mulched it, so you can see I still have nice brown dirt with this clay. That's the beautiful thing about using a biodegradable hardwood mulch. So as it breaks down, it helps your soil. It's so nice being out here when it's 80 degrees instead of 99 or 100. This is usually the time of year where I start to get a little bit of garden fatigue. As much as I love being out here, and gardening really is like therapy for me, when it's hot, it's not as enjoyable. Today is gorgeous. This one broke. I'm gonna give it a chance. Why not? Black-eyed Susans root pretty easily. Let's see what it does. If it doesn't survive, it's okay. We tried. It's starting to rain just a little bit. All right, I've got one more clump to get in here. Well, I think now, because I've created a curve, I think I want to put that clump. You know what? Let's put it right here where we've got an empty space here. These are not going to fill in this year. I know that. I'm not expecting them to. Honestly, after last year, I wasn't sure I was going to keep them because they just seem to be so invasive in this space. I was out here. I actually dug up quite a bit of these last year and gave them to friends and family, and was debating whether or not I wanted to keep them this year. But I would love it if they would fill in just enough to fill this space again, and then maybe find a way to contain them better. And if that's not possible, I'm going to rethink what I do here. All right. There we go. And that, my friends, is done. All right, even though it just rained and the soil is pretty wet, I will water these in just to make sure there's no air pockets around them. But I'll do that off camera. All right, and so that's it. That's our after shot. So is it filled in? No, it's not. It is not filled in. But it is certainly looking a whole lot more balanced than it was before we started. And I will still get some weeds there. I won't get as many. Now that I've got some plants here, it'll be a little bit easier to control the weeds. I need to get in here with some mulch. I will do that. I was waiting to mulch this area until after I transplanted those flowers. So I do need to get in here and get that done. Of course, that will help a lot with the weed control. And that's it. Not every garden project has to be super spectacular or grand. Sometimes it can be as simple as taking what you have and moving it over to just improve your space, improve what you're working towards. All right, so that's going to do it for us today. Remember, thrive where you're planted, but if you find yourself in a place where you didn't expect to be, look around. See if there's not a reason you're there. And until next time, stay rooted, stay refined, and I'll see you soon.